fellow brothers and fellow sisters, fellow mothers, fellow relatives, and fellow uncles, distant brothers and sisters, wherever you are. I think it is a quite amazing moment now in the Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon, now the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. I am here to assure you that this is the period that we has begun our complete total separation from the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. And this aspect is not only just going in both legal, political, and all aspects. We are here to show the world that we have able and maturity, despite the fact that the world remains pay a debt here. But the one important thing that I will be presenting is the oral argument that is being presented at the Supreme Court of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. Before I bring that, I want to let those in ground zero that do not ignore why the oral argument is going on in the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. Do not relentlessly ignore and allow La Republique to take advantages. Make sure that your eyes are on the alert. I know there is evidence that some of our ground men and women that are standing to protect our land are being ingrossly ignored the fact. So I assure you that you have to pay close attention. While this oral argument is going on in the neighboring country, La Republique Supreme Court, we should also be prepared to protect our land against neighboring country, La Republique military, that are currently taking advantage and carry on genocide. Let's listen to our Harvard Law graduate in an oral argument, Southern Cameroon versus La Republique trial that began a few days ago. And you will listen to him and he present his oral argument, and then the ball is at the La Republique court to determine whether are we living together or are we separate entity. Is La Republique taking advantages to brutalize our citizens as though because they have the military? Listen to the oral argument as presented in this case.
In 1961, I was a small boy then in primary school, and I have lived part of the history. But just in case one may think I'm biased because I am living in this part of the country, I will take the liberty to read to you transcripts of records of discussions that took place in the House of Parliament in London on the 1st of August 1961, 2 months before the so-called reunification. These discussions took place at 1:21 a.m. and they're recorded in Volume 647 of the Hansard. A certain member of Parliament, Mr. G.M. Thompson, from Dundee East in Scotland, raised the problem of Southern Cameroons to Parliament. This is what he had to say, amongst many other things, recorded in a 17-page document. I will just read excerpts. And I quote, "The problem of uniting these two territories would, in any event, be difficult. They are two territories of completely different cultures with different political systems. There are extremely complex problems in bringing these two countries together within one national state. So far as I can discover, no serious work has been done on joining these countries and getting down to the hard problem of bringing them together. general declarations have been made about the kind of framework that might be proposed. In these circumstances, a potentially very dangerous situation has arisen. That was 7 years ago. First, then, is a question of the kind of government that is to be set up. There have been a number of statements from the Prime Minister of Southern Cameroons, Mr. Foncha, and the President of the Cameroon Republic, Mr. Hijo, that they have agreed in general terms that the base form of government will be a federation. There can be no doubt that given the difficulties facing the two countries, with their different systems of administration and their different languages, federation is the only practicable system, certainly in the interest of inhabitants of the Southern Cameroons. But there is no sort of clarity as to how this is a definite commitment on behalf of the Cameroon Republic under President Hijo. I know that in the Republic of Cameroon, many voices have been raised to express a very different and much more alarming point of view. If the House will bear with me, and this is Mr. Thompson talking, not me, I will talk French for one sentence. I understand that le 1er octobre, on va saisir le Cameroun du Sud, unquote, is a familiar slogan in Cameroon Republic. I am wondering what our government are doing to try to ensure that there is a firm agreement in black and white that there should be a proper federal system which will allow the two territories to work out their future. Mr. Thompson, in conclusion, went on to say this. Despite the tremendous difficulties in both Cameroon Republic and in the Southern Cameroons, the possibility through bringing about a union between the two territories are considerable, not only for themselves, but for the kind of example which they can set for other African territories in the future. If it is possible to bring about a peaceful and progressive union between the French-speaking and English-speaking territories, the old arbitrary boundaries of the 19th century proconsuls will be wiped out and will get new countries established in Africa, which will take better account of the feelings of African nationalism. Now, Mr. Thompson concludes, this is a very late stage at which to try to do the right thing in Southern Cameroons. In a real sense, it is the 11th hour. But, and it continues, I plead with the government that although they have neglected so many things, they should act even now, before it is too late. That is the ominous warning of a man who did not even know us. How is that relevant to the issue before us today? It is very relevant. Because today, we come here in a desperate attempt, in the last and desperate attempt to try to save this country from self-destruction. The Anglophone crisis in the North and Southwest provinces or regions have the potential of destroying this country, of destroying the peace, ensemble, and the unity that we so easily proclaim. Oh, but in case some of you may not see what I see, let me try to give you a face of this conflict. Just now, my colleague Bryce Okongo talked about the difficulties in moving around during election day. On Saturday morning, I was with the Gino of Boya in his office. I obtained my listing passe to move around to coordinate the supervision of the electoral polling stations. On Sunday, as I prepared to go out, I heard that that same Gino, who was fully protected by soldiers and policemen, had been shot on and wounded on the arm. He's now in hospital. If a Gino so well protected could not move around freely, How would you expect the ordinary citizen to go around and vote? But that's not all. Mr. President, it is not a secret to all of you sitting here today that there are 20,000+ refugees from the southwest and northwest in Nigeria who have not been able to vote. It's not also a secret to you that there are more than 300,000 internally displaced people who have left the northwest and southwest regions and run over to Yaoundé and Douala and other places in fear for their lives. It is not also a secret that because of the terror these people face every day in the hands of the so-called Ambazonians and in the hands of the military and security forces who are supposed to protect us, people are afraid to go out of their homes. Let me give you a bit of this to this. Last week, a young man named Mame Ekwa, who lives in Over, a village in the outskirts of Boyotana, was suspected by the Ambazonian boys of colluding with the government. He was given two options: to kill him or to cut his arm. He gave his arm, and his right arm was cut off. 3 weeks ago, a little girl, 20 years old, named Akemnem Bernice, who lives with the chief of Great Support, Chief Morano, was crushed viciously right by the Boko petrol station in Great Support by an unmarked white pickup truck driven by policemen. And they went away. Nobody knows about what happened to that child and the family. A few months back, 4 boys were shot in Great Support. 3 of them were taken to be killed on the way to Ekona.